hopefully everyone is doing well today. This is part of our Etude series where we work through different Etude books number by number. This is going to be number 7 out of the Gillis book, the 70 Progressive Studies for Bass Trombone. So a couple things as always to check out. Look at the description below. You're going to find 3 items. Firstly, you're going to find a link for this book if you don't already have a copy of it. Second thing you're going to find out is a link for a free copy of the warm-up book, which is my warm-up book to help you play better and improve your daily routines in general. And lastly, you're going to find a set of timestamps to be able to work through this video. As always, we break the video into 3 segments. Firstly, we're going to talk about a little bit of specific items throughout, a little bit more like a lesson style. Second thing we're going to do is just count through the actual piece. And lastly, we're going to perform it top to bottom in a performance mindset specifically. So let's get started. As always, if this kind of content is giving you value, be sure to throw us a like, give us comments on any questions you have or things that you would find helpful in the future for us to improve on, and be sure to subscribe if you haven't already done so. So let's get started. Make sure you have numbered your measures. Here we go. First place that we're going to look in this one is going to be measure number 1. So we're specifically looking at the dotted 8th 16th. This has come up in a previous video, but this is very, very important to fix. It is early on in this book. It's not something we're going to cover every single time we see one of these, but I cannot stress to you how important this kind of rhythm is. So what we're going to do first is I want to play this where we actually will subdivide the dotted 8th note into 3 16ths and then continue to play the 4th 16th note. And then we're going to go back and play it without the actual subdivision. So let's try it out a little bit under tempo. Here we go. Measure number 1. All right, let's try that one more time with the subdivision. You're going to go 1 E and a 2. Here we go. Ready? All right, now this time we're going to play the piece as written, so we're not going to subdivide the dotted 8th note, but I want you to mentally be thinking about counting in your head 1 E and a 2 so that we do not get any of that triplet feel starting to creep into the actual rhythm itself. Here we go. Let's try it as written now. All right. Now, next place I want to jump over to you with you guys is going to be measure number 4. We have 4 16th notes right next to each other, not something we've seen a ton of in this specific register. So it is a little bit lower on the horn. We do have some combination work. So for those of you that are trombone, you're going to have some slide wiggling going on here a little bit more than normal. And for us euphonium players or valve players, you're going to have some 2 and 3 combos and things like that. So what I want you to focus on is cleanliness and clarity between the notes. So rather than chopping the note short, I instead want you to have good length on the note, but also have a really strong articulation to start the note. And in addition to that, make sure you have good separation between the notes. So we get the clarity and bounce that we want for the style, but we also have the really nice sound that we're going to want, and also the precision that we need to not sound mushy or kind of stuck in the mud. So let's try it out. Here we go. Just the first 4 notes of measure number 4. A little bit under tempo. Let's take a look. All right. Now, as we're playing through this, we also need to make sure that we're blowing through the phrase and keeping in mind that those 4 notes can't stick out around the other things that surround them. So we have 8th notes coming into them, 8th notes as we leave that set of 4 16ths. So we need to make sure that they're smooth and balanced with the rest of the music. So this time what I want to do is start on the last 2 notes, the last beat of measure number 3, which will be the A natural and the F natural 8th notes. And then we're going to play the first 4 16ths and then continue through the rest of measure number 4. Here we go. Let's try it out. All right, now let's jump over to the very end, which is going to be measure number 23, second to last measure. Now this is going to be an entire set of 16th notes all the way through. What I want to focus on for this one is going to be blowing through with a lot of intensity, keeping the momentum and the power moving throughout the phrase. As we ascend the line, we need to make sure that we're not kind of letting ourselves take our foot off the gas. We need to keep a ton of air moving through the horn and focus and blow through as if we were really listening and trying to focus on playing through to the last low F as it comes out. So here we go. Let's try it out. This is going to be measure number 23. Lots of air, consistency, and the same thing we just worked on in measure number 4. Good clean articulation, good space between notes. Really focus on blowing throughout the entire measure. Alrighty, now let's move on to our second portion of this, which will be our counting. Here we go. We're going to start from the top we will count the subdivision on our dotted A16. So what I want to hear from all of you is going to be 1 E and a 2, 1 E and a 2. Don't just count 1, a 2. That dead space, that pause between just 1, a 2 is going to create a setup where you might be more likely to make mistakes or warp the rhythm, and we don't want to have that. All right, so here we go from the very top. As always, as we're flexing our golden pipes, make sure that you are singing actual notes if you can, and work on that as a skill. It's not going to be easy to start with. You don't have to sound amazing, but I want you to be confident and do your best on it. And if you are uncomfortable in actually singing the notes themselves, then just sing on a single pitch. Let's get started. Here we go. So from the top, 1 and 2 and ready and count. 1 E and a 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 E and a 2 and 3 and 1 E and a 2 and 3 and 1 E and a 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 E and a 2 and 3 and 1 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 E and a 2 and 3 and 1. All right, so we got the idea. You can hear how the subdivision makes our life just generally a lot more easy. And what we're noticing is that in some scenarios we have a dotted A16th for those subdivision of 4 16th notes, and other times we just actually have the actual 4 16th notes. So keep in mind that as you're counting, it's good to just get in a nice pattern recognition, so that it just simply becomes more natural and more comfortable as you begin to play. All right, so now let's move over to our third section of the video. This is going to be our actual performance. We are going to start from the very top. As always, we are now in a performance mindset. We do not have regrets on any missed notes. We stay focused on making great music and sounding our absolute best. I do want you to start being good as we work through these videos during the performance, to think about 1 or 2 things that are something that maybe you struggle a little bit with or really want to prioritize. It's not going to be the only thing you're doing, but I do want you to have a chance to not only perform and push your limits as far as the quality of your work, but also keep in mind that even during performances, we should be aware of other things that we're doing and trying to improve at all times. So let's start from the very top. No regrets, lots of confidence, sound your best. Let's make some great music. Here we go. Alrighty, as always, make sure after you do perform to look back on how you did. So I know, even though it happened a lot of measures ago and I didn't stop or let it bog me down, I had a sticky valve there for a second in measure number 8 or 7 or 8, somewhere in there. Be listening for those details so that even when you are performing, you can then take a minute, recollect yourself, figure out what you need to go back and take a look at and improve for the next time you perform. So as always, I appreciate you guys sticking around. Hopefully this was a lot of fun. Be sure to, again, make sure you like, subscribe, leave a comment. Make sure you hit the notification bell if you want to know more about this. Be sure to check us out on all the other social media platforms, and we will see you for the next Gillis. Have a good one.